The Imperial survey vessel Eternal Reach drifted through the cold emptiness of space. Commander Yuna stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the star map before her. She had served the Keth Empire for 20 years. She had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but nothing had prepared her for what the sensors showed today. "Commander, the signal is getting stronger," said Lieutenant Taiho. He was young, barely 30 years old, with sharp eyes and an eager voice. He had joined her crew 6 months ago, fresh from the Imperial Academy. Yuna walked closer to his station. The screen showed a wave pattern, repeating every 40 seconds. It was too perfect to be natural. Someone was broadcasting from the Dead Zone. The Dead Zone was a forbidden region of space. 800 years ago, a species called humans had lived there. They were a young race, barely able to travel between stars. Then a terrible plague struck their worlds. The Empire sent no help. Why would they? Humans were primitive, unimportant. Within a decade, all reports said they were extinct. The Empire put up warning beacons and quarantine barriers. No one was allowed to enter. No one wanted to. The Dead Zone was a graveyard, a reminder of how quickly a species could disappear. "This is impossible," Yuna said softly. "There is nothing alive in that region." "The signal disagrees, Commander," Taiho replied. He was trying to hide his excitement, but she could hear it in his voice. The door behind them opened with a soft hiss. High Arbiter Vekros entered the bridge. He was a Keth, the ruling species of the Empire. His skin was pale blue, and his 4 eyes moved independently, scanning everything at once. He was ancient, over 300 years old, and he carried himself with the arrogance of someone who believed lesser species existed only to serve. "What is this disturbance?" Vekros demanded. His voice was like gravel scraping against metal. "We detected a transmission from the Dead Zone, High Arbiter," Yuna explained. She kept her voice calm and respectful. Vekros had the power to end her career with a single report. It appears to be artificial in origin. Vekros made a sound of disgust. "Impossible. The humans died centuries ago. Your equipment is faulty." "With respect, High Arbiter, we have checked the equipment 3 times. The signal is real." Vekros moved to the main view screen. His 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the data. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he waved one clawed hand dismissively. "An echo," he declared. "Old automated systems still running on dead worlds." "It means nothing." Taiho spoke up, his voice uncertain. "High Arbiter, the signal is using encryption methods we do not recognize. If it was old technology, we would be able to decode it easily." Vekros turned his gaze on the young lieutenant. Taiho seemed to shrink under those 4 cold eyes. "Are you questioning my judgment, Lieutenant?" "No, High Arbiter. I only meant, you meant nothing. You are young and foolish. Learn your place." Yuna stepped forward. "High Arbiter, I request permission to investigate the signal. If it is nothing, we lose only a few days. If it is something, the Empire should know." Vekros considered her words. She could see the calculation in his eyes. If she found something important, he would take the credit. If she found nothing, he could blame her for wasting time. "Very well," he said finally. "You may approach the quarantine barrier, but you will not cross it without my direct authorization. Is that understood?" "Perfectly, High Arbiter." Vekros left the bridge without another word. When the door closed behind him, Taiho let out a breath he had been holding. "That one frightens me," he admitted. "He frightens everyone," Yuna said. "That is how he likes it. Now, set course for the Dead Zone. Best speed." The Eternal Reach turned toward the forbidden region of space. The journey took 2 days. During that time, the signal grew stronger and clearer. Yuna spent hours listening to it, trying to understand its pattern. It was definitely a message. But what did it say? And who was sending it? On the second day, they reached the edge of the quarantine barrier. It was a network of satellites and warning beacons, stretching across light years of space. Beyond it, sensors showed nothing but darkness and silence, but the signal came from beyond that barrier. "Commander, there's something strange," Taiho said. He was staring at his screen with confusion on his face. "What is it?" "Our long-range sensors are being blocked. Something is interfering with them." Yuna frowned. "Natural interference? A nebula, perhaps?" "No, Commander. The interference is too precise. Someone is deliberately hiding what is beyond the barrier." Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The Empire had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. If someone was blocking their sensors, it meant that someone had technology equal to or better than theirs. She contacted Vekros and explained the situation. The High Arbiter seemed annoyed but curious. "You may cross the barrier," he said, "but proceed with caution. If this is some kind of trap, I will hold you responsible." The Eternal Reach moved forward, passing through the line of warning beacons. As soon as they crossed, the interference cleared. What Yuna saw made her heart stop. The view screen filled with lights. Thousands of lights. Ships moving in organized patterns. Space stations orbiting planets. Trade routes marked with navigation beacons. This was not a graveyard. This was a civilization. "By the stars," Taiho whispered. "How many worlds are there?" Yuna checked the sensors with trembling hands. Over 400 inhabited planets. Population estimates in the hundreds of billions. That is impossible. Where did they come from? But Yuna already knew the answer. She recognized the basic ship designs, modified and improved beyond recognition. She saw the familiar blue and green of their worlds. "They did not come from anywhere," she said. "They were always here. The humans are alive." Vekros pushed onto the bridge, his 4 eyes wide with shock. For the first time since she had known him, the High Arbiter was speechless. "This changes everything," Yuna said quietly. "The Empire believed they were dead. For 800 years, we thought we were alone in this region. But they were here all along, watching, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Taiho asked. Before Yuna could answer, the communication system activated. A clear, strong voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect Imperial Common, without accent or hesitation. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Human Stellar Confederacy space. Identify yourself and state your intentions. We have been expecting you for a very long time." Yuna looked at Vekros. The High Arbiter had gone pale. She looked at Taiho. The young lieutenant was frozen in place. She stepped forward and activated the response channel. Her voice was steady, even though her mind was racing with 1,000 questions. "This is Commander Yuna of the Imperial Survey Vessel Eternal Reach. We came to investigate a signal. We did not expect to find anyone alive." There was a pause. Then the voice returned, and Yuna could hear something in it. Amusement, perhaps. Or satisfaction. "Of course you did not expect it, Commander. That was the whole point. Please hold your position. Admiral Jisoo will meet with you shortly. Welcome to the Confederacy. We have much to discuss." The channel closed. Yuna stood in silence, staring at the impossible civilization before her. 800 years of lies. 800 years of believing humans were extinct. And now, standing at the edge of their hidden empire, she realized the truth. The galaxy was about to change forever. The human ships arrived within minutes. Yuna counted 12 of them, sleek and elegant, moving with a grace that Imperial vessels could not match. They surrounded the Eternal Reach in a perfect formation, not threatening, but clearly in control. High Arbiter Vekros had retreated to his quarters, claiming he needed to send a report to Imperial Command. Yuna suspected he was really trying to understand how badly this discovery would affect his career. She did not care. She had bigger concerns. "Their ships are beautiful," Taiho said. He was studying the sensor data with wide eyes. "The engine efficiency is 30% higher than our best models. Their hull composition is unknown to our database. How did they advance so quickly?" 800 years is not quick, Yuna reminded him. "That is a long time to learn and grow." A light flashed on the communication panel. An incoming message. "Commander Yuna, this is Admiral Jisoo of the Human Stellar Confederacy. I am aboard the vessel directly ahead of you. I would like to invite you to our station for a meeting. You may bring 2 officers with you. We guarantee your safety." Yuna considered her options. She could refuse and demand the humans come to her instead. But she was in their space, surrounded by their ships. Pride would not help her here. "I accept your invitation, Admiral. I will bring Lieutenant Taiho and 1 security officer." "Excellent. A shuttle will guide you to the docking bay. We look forward to speaking with you." The journey to the station took only 15 minutes. Through the shuttle window, Yuna saw a massive structure, larger than any station the Empire had built. It orbited a green and blue world that reminded her of pictures she had seen of the original human homeworld, Earth. When they landed, a group of humans was waiting for them. Yuna studied them carefully. They looked like the images in the Imperial archives, but healthier, stronger. They stood with confidence, not the beaten posture of conquered people. One woman stepped forward. She was tall, with short black hair and calm, intelligent eyes. She wore a military uniform, simple but well-made. "Commander Yuna, I am Admiral Jisoo. Welcome to Haven Station." Yuna bowed slightly, a gesture of respect between equals. "Thank you for receiving us, Admiral. I must admit, we did not expect to find anyone here." Jisoo smiled, but there was something hard beneath it. "No, I imagine you did not. The Empire wrote us off as dead 800 years ago. You never even sent a ship to check." There was no anger in her voice, only a statement of fact. Somehow, that made it worse that a man approached them. He was older than Jisoo, with gray hair and a kind face that hid sharp intelligence. "I am Ambassador Dowan," he said. "I handle diplomatic matters for the Confederacy. We have prepared a room where we can talk comfortably. There is much to explain." They walked through the station. Yuna noticed everything. The clean corridors. The advanced technology integrated smoothly into everyday life. The people who stopped to stare at them with curiosity, but not fear. The meeting room had large windows showing the planet below. Jisoo, Dohan, and a 3rd human were already seated when they arrived. The 3rd was a woman with glasses and a tablet computer in her hands. "This is Dr. Yoonji," Dowan said. "She is our chief historian. She can answer questions about our past." Yuna sat down across from them. Taiho remained standing near the door, watching everything with nervous eyes. "I have many questions," Yuna began. "But the most important one is simple. How are you alive? Imperial records say a plague destroyed your civilization." Dr. Yoonji leaned forward. "The plague was real, Commander, but it did not come from nature. It was created in a laboratory and released on our worlds deliberately." Yuna felt cold. Who would do such a thing? "Factions within the old hegemony government," Unji said. "Our homeworld was rich in rare minerals. Our location was strategically valuable. We were too weak to defend ourselves, and some of your leaders decided it was easier to kill us than to negotiate with us." She touched her tablet, and a holographic display appeared above the table. Documents, communications, scientific reports. All of them bore official hegemony seals. "We have complete records," Yoonji continued. "Intercepted communications between hegemony officials planning the attack. Medical reports showing the plague was engineered. Orders to let us die without offering aid. Yuna stared at the evidence. She wanted to deny it, to say it was fake. But she could see the authentication codes. She knew how to recognize genuine Imperial documents. These were real. Why did you not tell anyone? She asked. Why hide for 800 years? Admiral Jizu answered. Because when the plague struck, we had 12 colony ships and 2 million survivors. The hegemony had thousands of warships and trillions of soldiers. If we revealed ourselves, they would have finished what they started. So we ran, Dowan added. We found this region of space, far from Imperial trade routes. We built a barrier of artificial nebula gas and sensor jammers to hide ourselves. And then we focused on one thing, survival. Yuna looked out the window at the planet below. You did more than survive. Jizu nodded. We rebuilt. We had hegemony technology to study. We improved it. We invented new things. We made mistakes and learned from them. 800 years is a long time, Commander. We used every day of it. Dr. Yunji changed the display. Now it showed a map of human space. 400 worlds connected by trade routes and defended by fleets. The human stellar confederacy has a population of 200 billion, she said. We have a standing military of 50 million. Our technology in many areas now exceeds Imperial standards. Taiho spoke for the first time. If you are so powerful, why stay hidden? Why not reveal yourselves and demand justice? Ambassador Dowan gave him a sad smile. Justice is a luxury, young man. We wanted our children to grow up without fear. We wanted to build something worth protecting. Revenge would have cost too many lives. But now you have been found, Jisu said. And we must decide what happens next. Yuna understood the weight of those words. The Empire would not ignore this. A civilization of 400 worlds, hidden right under their noses, with evidence of ancient crimes. This was not a simple diplomatic matter. This was a crisis. What do you want? She asked. Dawan spread his hands. What we have always wanted. Peace, recognition, the right to exist without fear. We do not seek war with the Empire. But we will not hide anymore. The High Arbiter is sending a report to Imperial Command right now, Yuna said. They will send ships. Many ships. Jisu did not seem worried. We know. We have been monitoring your communications since you arrived. The Arbiter is calling for a military response. Yuna felt a flash of anger at Vekros. Of course he would choose violence over diplomacy. He was afraid, and afraid people made dangerous decisions. I can try to negotiate, she offered. I can tell them what I have seen, explain that you want peace. Would they listen? Yunji asked. Yuna hesitated. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to believe the Empire she had served all her life was capable of wisdom and compassion. But she thought of Vekros, of the cold calculations in his 4 eyes. She thought of the documents showing deliberate genocide. I do not know, she admitted. But I have to try. Admiral Jisu stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars for a long moment before speaking. We hoped the Empire had changed in 800 years. We hoped that whoever found us would be someone reasonable. Someone who could see the truth and choose the right path. She turned to face Yuna. I believe you are that person, Commander. But I am not sure you will be enough. What do you mean? The Empire will not accept our existence easily. We threaten too much. Their history, their legitimacy, their power. Some will want to destroy us simply because we survived. Others will want to take what we have built. Yuna stood up to face her. Then what will you do? Jisu met her eyes. We will defend ourselves. We did not spend 800 years preparing just to surrender when the storm finally comes. But we would rather make friends than enemies, Commander. The choice is not ours to make. It belongs to the Empire. The meeting ended shortly after. As Yuna walked back to the shuttle, her mind was spinning. Everything she knew about history, about the Empire, about her own service, was built on lies. And now she had to decide what kind of person she wanted to be. When she returned to the Eternal Reach, she found Vakros waiting for her. His 4 eyes were blazing with barely controlled rage. "The humans are a threat to Imperial security," he declared. "I have summoned the war fleet. 500 ships will arrive within 3 days. They want peace," Yuna said. "They have evidence of crimes committed against them. We should listen." Vakros stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "The Empire does not listen to primitives. It does not apologize. It does not negotiate. The humans will submit, or they will be destroyed. That is the only acceptable outcome." He turned and walked away, leaving Yuna alone on the bridge. She looked out at the human ships still surrounding them, peaceful but watchful. 3 days. She had 3 days to prevent a war. The question was, how? President Hanziel stood in the command center of Haven Station, watching the holographic display with steady eyes. He was a former soldier, and he had seen battle many times. But he had hoped his days of fighting were over. 500 Imperial warships, Admiral Jisu reported. They will arrive in 72 hours. The room was silent. Around the table sat the leaders of the Human Stellar Confederacy. Ministers, generals, admirals, scientists. All of them understood what this moment meant. They did not even try to negotiate, Ambassador Dohan said quietly. "We offered peace, and they sent a war fleet. Did you expect anything different?" asked General Minju, commander of ground forces. She was a hard woman, shaped by decades of preparing for this exact situation. "The Empire does not know how to see us as equals. To them, we are prey that escaped the hunt." President Hanziel raised his hand for silence. "We will not make decisions based on anger. Tell me our options." Jisu stepped forward. "Option 1. We evacuate our border systems and retreat deeper into our territory. The barrier can be strengthened. We can buy time." "How much time?" Hanziel asked. "Months, perhaps. But they would eventually find ways through. And we would be giving up worlds our people have built for generations." "What is option 2? Jisu took a breath. "We fight. Our fleet is ready. Our technology is superior in many areas. I believe we can defeat a force of 500 ships. At what cost? Heavy losses on both sides. Perhaps 40% of our engaged forces. And whatever the outcome, it would mean open war with the Empire." The room grew quiet again. President Hanziel looked at each face around the table. He saw fear, anger, determination. He saw people who had lived their whole lives under the shadow of a threat finally made real. "There is a third option," said a young voice. Everyone turned to look at the speaker. She was young, barely 25, with sharp eyes behind simple glasses. Specialist Mira worked in intelligence, monitoring Imperial communications. "Speak," Hanziel said. Mira stood up and activated her tablet. A recording began to play. It was High Arbiter Vakros speaking to Imperial Command. "The humans must be destroyed before word spreads. If other species learn that the hegemony committed genocide and failed to finish it, there will be rebellions across the Empire. This is not just about one primitive race. This is about maintaining order throughout our territory." The recording ended. The room was very still. "He is afraid," Myra said. "Not of us. He's afraid of what will happen when the truth comes out. The Empire controls many species, most of them conquered by force. If they learn that the Empire tried to wipe out an entire race and lied about it for centuries, they will question everything." Ambassador Dowan leaned forward. You are suggesting we use this fear against them? I am suggesting we remove their reason to fight. The High Arbiter wants to destroy us because we are evidence of a crime. But what if the evidence was already public? What if every species in the galaxy already knew the truth? President Hansiel understood immediately. If everyone knows, there is no point in silencing us. Exactly. We broadcast the proof of what happened 800 years ago. Every communication channel, every neutral system, every species with access to a receiver. The Empire cannot put that truth back in a box. General Minju shook her head. It could also give them more reason to destroy us. A wounded animal is dangerous. They will try to destroy us either way, Jisoo said. At least this way, we force them to do it in front of the entire galaxy. And we give other species a reason to support us. Hansiel considered the options. None of them were good. All of them carried risks. But doing nothing meant certain destruction. Prepare the broadcast, he decided. But do not send it yet. I want to give their commander one more chance to prevent this. On the Eternal Reach, Commander Yuna could not sleep. She lay in her quarters, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything she had learned. The Empire had tried to kill an entire species. Her empire. The government she had served and believed in. She had worn their uniform with pride. She had followed their orders without question. And all of it was built on lies. Her door chimed. Lieutenant Taiho entered, looking troubled. Commander, I need to speak with you. Yuna sat up. What is it? Taiho hesitated. He was loyal to the Empire. She knew he was struggling with what they had discovered. The High Arbiter is planning to attack as soon as the fleet arrives, he said. No warning, no negotiation. He wants to destroy their main stations and force an immediate surrender. I know. Commander, the humans have done nothing wrong. They only defended themselves. They only wanted to survive. Yuna looked at him carefully. Are you saying we should disobey orders? Taiho's face was torn with conflict. I do not know what I am saying. I was taught to follow the chain of command. I was taught the Empire brings order and civilization. But what I have seen here, these people are not savages. They are not threats. They are survivors of a crime we committed. Yuna stood up and put a hand on his shoulder. I have served the Empire for 20 years, Taiho. I have always believed we were the good ones. Learning the truth does not erase that belief. It challenges it. What will you do? She walked to her computer terminal and began typing. The humans showed me their evidence. Documents, communications, scientific records. All of it authenticated with Imperial codes. You cannot share classified information with unauthorized parties. Yuna turned to face him. No, but I can share it with other Imperial officers. I can send it to news services in neutral systems. I can make sure that whatever happens here, the truth survives. Taiho stared at her. That is treason. Perhaps. Or perhaps it is the most loyal thing I have ever done. The Empire I swore to serve was supposed to protect people, not murder them. If exposing an ancient crime is treason, then the Empire has already betrayed itself. She finished typing and looked at the screen. One command would send the evidence across the galaxy. Once it was done, there would be no going back. You do not have to stay, she told Taiho. This is my choice, not yours. He stood there for a long moment. Then he walked to her side and looked at the screen. My grandfather used to tell me stories about honor, he said quietly. He said true loyalty was not to a flag or a government. It was to the principles they were supposed to represent. Justice, truth, protection of the innocent. He reached out and pressed the send. Command. The evidence began. Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy. High Arbiter. Vecros burst onto the bridge 30 minutes later. His 4 eyes wild with rage. What have you done? He screamed at Una. I have received reports from across the hegemony. The evidence is everywhere. Every species is receiving it. Una stood calmly, her hands clasped behind her back. I have told the truth, High Arbiter. Something the Empire should have done 800 years ago. You have destroyed us. There will be chaos. Rebellions. The order we spent millennia building will collapse. Ben, perhaps it was built on a weak foundation. Vecros lunged at her. The two security officers caught him. He struggled against them, his rage making him almost incoherent. You will be executed for this. You and everyone who helped you. Una looked at him with something close to pity. Maybe, but the truth is out now. Nothing you do to me will change that. An alert sounded on the bridge. Lieutenant Taiho checked the sensors and went pale. Commander, the Imperial War Fleet has arrived early. But so has something else. On the view screen, ships began appearing. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Human ships of every size, from small fighters to massive carriers. A new voice came through the communication system. It was Admiral Jisoo. Attention, Imperial Fleet. We know why you have come. We know what you intend to do. But we are not the helpless prey you expected. We are the children of survivors, and we have prepared for this moment for 800 years. You have a choice to make. You can withdraw peacefully and face the truth like civilized beings. Or you can attack and learn exactly how strong we have become. The decision is yours. Choose wisely. The view screen showed the two fleets facing each other across the void. Imperial ships, proud and confident in their centuries of dominance. Human ships, sleek and deadly, built by a people who refused to die. Una watched and waited. She had done everything she could. Now, the fate of two civilizations rested on what happened next. The galaxy held its breath. Grand Admiral Kethvorin stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was the most celebrated military commander in the Empire, undefeated in 40 campaigns across 3 centuries. His pale blue scales gleamed under the bridge lights, and his 4 eyes surveyed the human fleet with cold calculation. Primitives, he muttered. They build pretty ships, but ships alone do not win wars. His aide approached nervously. Grand Admiral, we have received transmissions from across the hegemony. The evidence about the human genocide is spreading rapidly. There are already protests on several colony worlds. Political problems for political people, Kethvorin replied. My job is to eliminate military threats. And that is what these humans are, regardless of what happened 800 years ago. He opened a channel to the human fleet. This is Grand Admiral Kethvorin of the Imperial War Fleet. You are in violation of hegemony sovereignty. Surrender immediately and submit to Imperial justice. You have 10 minutes to comply. Admiral Jisoo's response came quickly. Grand Admiral, we are not in hegemony space. We are in Confederacy space, which we have occupied for 8 centuries. We have no intention of surrendering to the same empire that tried to murder our ancestors. Then you choose destruction. We choose to defend ourselves. That is a right every living being has. Kethvorin closed the channel. He turned to his tactical officer. Launch all fighters. Target their command ships first. I want this over within the hour. On the new dawn, Admiral Jisoo watched the Imperial fighters launch. Hundreds of small craft swarmed toward the human lines like angry insects. They are testing us, she said calmly. They want to see how we respond before committing their main force. Shall I launch our interceptors? Asked Captain John Ho, her second in command. Not yet. Let them come closer. Activate the point defense network. The human ships did not launch fighters. Instead, they waited. The Imperial pilots grew confident, accelerating toward their targets. They were the best pilots in the Empire, trained from youth to dominate space combat. Then the human ships opened fire. Thousands of small cannons activated simultaneously, creating a wall of precise energy fire. The Imperial fighters flew into it and began to die. Not in ones or twos, but in dozens. The human targeting systems were impossibly accurate, tracking multiple targets and eliminating them with ruthless efficiency. In 30 seconds, half the Imperial fighter force was destroyed. "Retreat!" screamed the fighter commander. "Fall back to the fleet." The survivors turned and fled, but the human fire followed them, picking off stragglers until barely a quarter of the original force remained. On the Eternal Dominion, Kethvorn stared at the display in disbelief. He had never seen such losses in an opening engagement. His confident expression flickered, but he forced himself to remain calm. "They have impressive point defense," he admitted, "but their main fleet is still outnumbered. All ships, advance. Concentrate fire on their largest vessels." The Imperial fleet moved forward as 500 warships in perfect formation, their weapons charged, ready to unleash destruction upon the upstart humans. Admiral Jisoo smiled grimly. "Now, Captain Junho, show them what we have learned." The human fleet did not meet them head-on. Instead, they scattered, their ships moving with incredible speed and coordination. They danced around the Imperial formation, striking from unexpected angles, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. Imperial gunners struggled to track them. Their targeting computers were designed for traditional fleet combat, where enemies formed battle lines and exchanged fire. The humans fought like wolves attacking a herd, coordinated but chaotic, always moving, always striking at weak points. "Why cannot we hit them?" Kethvorn demanded. "Their ships are too fast, Grand Admiral, and their electronic warfare is disrupting our sensors." A human strike force appeared behind the Imperial formation. Before the rear guard could react, 3 Imperial cruisers were disabled, their engines destroyed by precise strikes. "They are not killing our crews," an officer reported, confused. "They are targeting non-vital systems. They are deliberately leaving our people alive." Kethvorn did not understand. In war, you destroyed your enemies. You did not spare them out of mercy. Mercy was weakness. But somewhere in his ancient mind, a thought stirred. Perhaps it was not mercy at all. Perhaps it was a message. On the Eternal Reach, Commander Yuna and Lieutenant Taiho watched the battle unfold. Eye Arbiter Vekros had been confined to his quarters, his authority stripped after his attempt to attack Yuna. "They are winning," Taiho said in amazement. "The humans are actually winning." Yuna nodded slowly. They spent 800 years preparing for this moment. Every ship, every weapon, every tactic was designed to fight the Empire. But they are not pressing their advantage. They could destroy the fleet, but they are only disabling ships, because they do not want to win through slaughter. They want to prove a point. They want witnesses to survive and tell others what happened here. Dr. Yunji had explained it during their meeting. The humans did not want revenge. They wanted recognition. They wanted the galaxy to see that they were not helpless victims, but a powerful civilization that could have destroyed its enemies but chose not to. It was a kind of strength Yuna had never seen before. Not the strength of violence, but the strength of restraint. The battle raged for 3 hours. By the end, half the Imperial fleet was disabled or destroyed. Human losses were remarkably light. Less than 30 ships lost compared to over 200 Imperial vessels crippled. Grand Admiral Kethvorn watched his fleet crumble around him. Oh, hey. For the first time in his long life, he faced defeat. Total, undeniable defeat. His flagship was surrounded by human ships. His weapons were destroyed, his engines failing. He had only one option left. A human shuttle docked with the Eternal Dominion. Admiral Jisoo walked onto the Imperial Bridge with a small escort, her boots clicking against the metal floor. She approached Kethvorin, who stood rigid with humiliated fury. "Grand Admiral," she said calmly, "your fleet is defeated. Your ships are disabled. You are in our custody. Kill me and be done with it," he growled. "I will not surrender to primitives. We are not going to kill you. We are going to send you home with a message." She activated a device, and a holographic display appeared. It showed scenes from across the galaxy. Protests erupting on Imperial worlds. Subjugated species demanding answers. News broadcasts discussing the evidence of genocide. "The truth is out," Jisoo said. "Every species in the hegemony now knows what the Empire did to us. They know that for 800 years, they were told we were dead when we were really alive and thriving." Kethvorin's eyes darted across the images. He saw the foundations of Imperial power beginning to crack. Dr. Yunji's voice came through the speakers, broadcast across every Imperial communication channel. "We did not start this war 800 years ago. We did not start this battle today. But we will finish any fight you bring to us. The Human Stellar Confederacy seeks peace, not conquest. We offer friendship to any who will have it. But we will never again be victims. Choose peace." Jisoo turned back to Kethvorin. "You will return to Imperial space with your surviving crews. You will tell your leaders what happened here. And you will deliver this offer. The Confederacy is willing to negotiate. We want trade, diplomatic relations, mutual respect. We do not want to conquer anyone. But if the Empire chooses war, we will defend ourselves with everything we have." The Grand Admiral stared at her for a long moment. His pride screamed at him to refuse, to fight until his last breath. But he was a military man. He understood when a battle was lost. "You have made powerful enemies today," he said finally. Jisoo met his gaze without flinching. "We made those enemies 800 years ago. Today, we simply stopped hiding from them. The Imperial survivors were released. Their disabled ships were towed to the border of human space and set free." Kethvorin watched from his crippled flagship as the human fleet pulled back, victorious but not pursuing across the hegemony. The news spread. The Empire had attacked the humans and lost. The evidence of ancient genocide was confirmed. And suddenly, every species that had ever been conquered by the Keth began to ask questions. In a single day. The galaxy changed forever. Commander Yuna watched from the eternal reach as the Imperial remnants limped away. She had betrayed her government, sided with former enemies, and helped expose the darkest secret of her people's history. She did not regret any of it. "What happens now?" Taiho asked, standing beside her. "Now we see if anyone learned anything from this day. The humans offered peace. The question is whether anyone will accept it." Taiho looked at her with something like admiration. "You could have stayed silent. You could have followed orders. I could have. But some orders deserve to be disobeyed." She watched the stars and wondered what the future would bring. The old order was dying. Something new was being born. And she had helped bring it into the world. Whatever came next, she would face it with clear eyes and a clean conscience. 6 months had passed since the Battle of the Veil. The galaxy was a different place now. The Imperial hegemony, once the undisputed ruler of 3,000 star systems, was fracturing. 12 species had already declared independence. 30 more were demanding reforms and representation. The evidence of the human genocide had shattered the myth of imperial benevolence. If they had done it to one species, people asked, what else had they done? What other crimes were hidden in 8 centuries of lies? High Arbiter Vekros had been arrested by his own government. He was a convenient scapegoat, someone to blame for the disaster. The old emperor had retreated from public view, and the new council was attempting to hold the hegemony together. Through compromise rather than forced on, it was not working well. On Haven Station, President Hansiol addressed the Confederacy Council for the first time since the battle. "We have achieved something our grandparents could only dream of," he said. "We are no longer hiding. We are no longer afraid. The galaxy knows we exist, and it knows we will not be pushed around." The council chamber erupted in applause. Representatives from 400 worlds celebrated a victory 800 years in the making. But Hansiol raised his hand for silence. "This is not the end. It is only the beginning. We have proven we can defend ourselves. Now we must prove we can live peacefully alongside others. That is a much harder challenge." In the weeks that followed, the Human Stellar Confederacy opened diplomatic channels with dozens of species. Some were former Imperial subjects, eager to learn how humans had survived and prospered in secret. Others were neutral powers who suddenly found the balance of the galaxy shifting beneath their feet. Ambassador Dohwan led the first official human delegation to the reformed Hegemony Council. He stood before the representatives of 100 species, his voice calm and measured. "We do not come seeking revenge," he said. "The people who tried to destroy us are long dead. Their descendants bear the weight of that history. But we will not ask them to suffer for crimes they did not commit." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We seek only what we have always wanted: the right to exist, the right to trade, the right to be treated as equals. We offer the same rights to anyone who will have us as friends." The negotiations were difficult. Many in the hegemony still saw humans as a threat, a dangerous upstart species that had humiliated the mighty Imperial fleet. Others saw an opportunity to ally with a power that had proven itself capable of standing against the old order. In the end, a treaty was signed. The Confederacy was officially recognized as an independent nation. Trade routes were established. Ambassadors were exchanged. For the first time in 800 years, humans could travel openly in the wider galaxy. Commander Yuna did not return to Imperial space. After her testimony before a neutral tribunal confirmed the authenticity of the genocide evidence, she was offered a choice: face trial in the hegemony for treason, or accept asylum in the Confederacy. She chose the Confederacy. President Hansiol welcomed her personally. "You risked everything to tell the truth," he said. "That makes you one of us." Yuna was given a position in the Confederacy Diplomatic Corps, helping to bridge the gap between humans and their former enemies. It was strange work for someone who had spent her life in the military, but she found purpose in it. Every successful negotiation, every peaceful resolution, felt like a small victory against the violence of the past. Lieutenant Taiho made a different choice. He returned to Imperial space, determined to work for change from within. His testimony about the battle and the evidence he had helped transmit made him both a hero to reformers and a traitor to hardliners. Why go back? Yuna had asked him before he left. "Because the Empire is my home," he replied. "It has done terrible things, but it is also billions of ordinary people who just want to live their lives. Someone has to help them build something better." They parted as friends, promising to meet again when the galaxy was more peaceful. Admiral Jisoo returned to active duty, commanding the Confederacy's border fleet. The threat of Imperial attack had faded, but she remained vigilant. Old enemies did not become friends overnight. One evening, she stood on the observation deck of the New Dawn, looking out at the stars. Specialist Mira joined her, carrying 2 cups of tea. "You seem thoughtful," Myra observed. Jisoo accepted the tea with a nod of thanks. "I keep thinking about all the people who did not live to see this day. My grandmother survived the plague. She raised my mother on a refugee ship, never knowing if they would find safety. She died before we finished building Haven Station. She would be proud of what we have become. I hope so. But I also wonder if she would recognize us. We spent so long preparing for war. Now we have to learn how to live in peace." Myra smiled. That sounds like a good problem to have. The barrier around human space was officially lowered 1 year after the battle. Human ships ventured out into the wider galaxy for the first time since the Great Retreat. Merchants, explorers, scientists, diplomats. All of them carried the flag of the Confederacy and the spirit of a people who refused to die in the Great Hall of Haven Station. A ceremony was held to mark the occasion. Representatives from 50 species attended, including several former Imperial officials who had joined the reform movement. President Hansil gave the final speech. 800 years ago, our ancestors faced extinction. They were betrayed by those who should have protected them. They watched their worlds burn and their families die. By all logic, humanity should have ended in that generation. He paused, looking around the hall at the diverse faces watching him. But we did not end. We fled, we hid, we rebuilt. We took the scraps of a destroyed civilization and forged them into something new. We taught our children to hope when there was no reason to hope. We prepared for the day when we would no longer have to hide. His voice grew stronger. Today, that day has come. We are no longer refugees. We are no longer survivors. We are the human stellar confederacy, and we stand as equals among the stars. Not through conquest, not through domination, but through the simple, stubborn refusal to give up. The applause was deafening. Humans and aliens alike celebrated a moment that had seemed impossible only a year ago. Later that night, Admiral Jisoo stood alone on the bridge of the New Dawn. The station behind her was still celebrating. But she needed a moment of quiet. Specialist Mira found her there, as she always did. "The party is still going," Mira said. "You should be there. You are a hero." Jisoo shook her head. "I did my job. The real heroes are the ones who built this civilization while I was just flying ships." They would disagree. Jisoo did not reply. She was looking at the star map, now showing human territory openly for the first time in 8 centuries. No more hidden zones. No more secrets. Just hundreds of worlds, shining like beacons in the darkness. "They thought we were dead," Myra said quietly. Jisoo turned to look at her. There was fierce pride in the Admiral's eyes. The pride of a people who had been written off and forgotten, only to rise stronger than anyone imagined. "They forgot what humans do best," Jisoo said. "What is that?" Jisoo smiled, a real smile this time, full of warmth and defiance. Survive, adapt, and come back stronger. Outside the ship, the stars glittered with promise. Somewhere out there, new adventures waited. New friends to be made. New challenges to overcome. The humans had come back from the edge of extinction. They had faced the greatest empire in the galaxy and won. Not just through force, but through courage, determination, and an unbreakable will to live. The future was uncertain. There would be struggles ahead, conflicts, and setbacks. But humanity had already proven something important. No matter how dark the night, dawn always comes, and humanity had learned to wait for the dawn.